Trump supporters are actually thinking.
All right, up first today we have Jess. She wrote in and said, "Recently I've been hearing a lot about this new wave feminist movement, and I'm confused as to what they're actually trying to accomplish. What is the purpose for the divide among men and women using the feminist movement? Also, how is it so easy to brainwash young women into believing that men are inferior and the cause of all their problems?" That's from Jess.
Oh, hey, Jess, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Is there more that you wanted to add to this particular question or issue?
Um, well, there's a lot that I'd like to add, to be completely honest, but I don't think
Well, you should.
we'd be
Please,
here
this
for
is
the
this
next.
is the call-in show. You can do more than listen to me.
Uh, um, it, okay, so there's kind of a background story to this. I was at work when Trump was elected as the GOP nominee, and I was talking about Trump and kind of trying to have a conversation with one of my coworkers who was still on the fence. And another one of my coworkers, who is a hardcore leftist, snapped around and looked at me and said, "How can you vote for a male chauvinist?" And I just looked at her and said, "Well, I actually vote with my brain." And then it was all over and the explosion happened. And recently,
Not an argument, but very funny.
yeah, pretty much. So then the explosion happened, and I walked away from the situation and, just kind of left it as it was. Took everything she said with a grain of salt, of course. And
What did she say?
it was just this mass hysteria of, "Oh, you're so oppressed. Do you understand how oppressed you are? And you don't want free birth control or abortion, and no, 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 no." And carry on like it was the end of the world with that type of rhetoric. And, like I said, I walked away and just kind of left it as is, and, didn't take too much of it to heart. And then I just see this explosion with the Women's March and the, women protesting and all these videos that have been posted on YouTube and especially Facebook. The majority of the people I know are leftists, and it's kind of depressing. So I'm very confused as to how these people have any level of, I don't know how these people believe at all what they're hearing, all the propaganda they hear, all the lies that the media is putting out there. I'm trying to wrap my head around it so that I can actually have a constructive argument with these people and kind of try to, flip their, kind of give them a better idea of what Trump supporters are actually thinking.
Right. Well, I'm sorry about that situation. And I think we've all been there. And you wanted to know sort of why I think it's so appealing to people?
Yeah, that's the main thing. Yeah.
Right. Well, I'm going to tell you the theory I've been thinking about today. And you can tell me if it makes any sense to you.
Okay.
Well, I'll start with the end product and we'll sort of work our way backwards. And feel free to, this is hypothetical. This is not finished or polished. This is just a potential.
Right.
Everybody loves the idea of being heroic, of being oppressed, of fighting for what's right, of fighting the bad guys, right?
Okay.
But here's the problem. Well, here's one of the many problems with that. If you actually fight the bad guys, do you know what they do? They fight back, you see, and that's considerably less enjoyable, if that makes sense.
Right.
So if you want to be heroic, if you want to be part of this big Manichaean drama of good versus evil, then the best thing for you to do, if you want to do that, but you don't actually want to experience any, say, personal risk of any kind, right? Then what you do is you pick the most peaceful, the most reasonable group in society, the group that you are 150% sure will not fight back. And then you claim that group is the group that is oppressing you. And that way you get all of the joy and the drama and the excitement of being a superhero villain fighter, knowing beyond a doubt that the people you claim are the most evil and the most oppressive will never, ever fight back and make you pay for thwarting their interests.
Right.
Now, the reason I say this, this sort of came to me after having a look at this woman's waddle, march, sorry, this woman's march. Sorry, occasionally. Anyway, and this one of the women who was in charge of the women's march took a shot in the past at High Hersey Alley, right? This woman, she's from Somalia. She'd underwent female genital mutilation, and she said that she would like to take away her vagina.
Right.
Kind of tasteless in many ways and kind of unpleasant. And there was another woman speaking at the Women's March who had served 30 years in jail for kidnapping, torturing, and murdering a gay man. But she was given a microphone to speak.
Right.
Amazing.
Right.
Amazing. Just astonishing.
And
Now, I can understand why some of these women, not the most pleasant specimens on the planet, why they might be drawn to an ideology that forces people to wear a hijab. But astonishing. How can we make sense of this? Well, if you say you're oppressed by some group that may be perceived to be a little bit more volatile than white males, that other group may have something to say about it. They may fight back. So if you want the drama of being a hero fighting evil, but you don't actually want to risk anything, any blowback, any problems, then you pick the nicest group around and you say, they're the oppressors, by God. And that way, you can do a live action role play as a superhero, knowing for sure that you won't get any direct blowback. It's the equivalent of a video game, right? You have a video game, you're out there lobbing grenades and rockets at people, and they're lobbing them at you, but no one's actually going to end up with third-degree burns, right?
Right. Right. See, that makes a lot of sense. And going back to the whole hijab thing, I saw something about that, and I'm wrapping my head around that now too, because this was, after I'd gotten in contact with you guys, that this happened, and I'm thinking to myself, because my dad, when I was a kid, told me Sharia law is the one thing you have to worry about. Sharia law. Keep your eye on Sharia law. You got to worry about it. I was like, I don't feel like I have to, but okay. And there's these women putting on hijabs and, running around like, this is so empowering. This is so empowering. Isn't this great? We're wearing hijabs. We're being multicultural. And I don't
And what
think
they should do, of course, is they should try organizing a march for women's rights in, say, Saudi Arabia.
right.
And see how that goes.
Right, in places where these women are actually beaten and tormented and, don't have many rights and, on and on. I just don't understand why they're embracing that ideology here when they claim to be for women's rights.
Well, they're not for women's rights. I mean, that's to be is very, very clear. They are useful idiots of Marxists and other people who were against Western civilization. If they were for women's rights, they would celebrate women on the right. But they don't. They attack women on the right, or at least stand idly by while women on the right are repeatedly, vociferously, and viciously attacked. And
Right.
so, no, they're not interested in. Otherwise, they'd be celebrating Margaret Thatcher, Michelle Bachmann, Ann Coulter, Ayn Rand, Michelle Malkin. They'd be celebrating. These women are incredible, intelligent, brilliant, world-changing women. But I guess it's up to me and others to celebrate them. So,
Right.
no, they're not. They're not interested in this. They want to have the drama. They want to have the drama of an enemy and a combat and a fight, but no risk. No risk. So they make up this delusion where the nicest people in society are somehow their enemies. That way they can attack them, knowing for sure they won't attack back.
Right. Right. And it makes sense, because every time I have this conversation with somebody, there are some people that I will talk to and I'll, give them my 2 cents. But for the most part, I just walk away from the situation because they're just not worth the time and energy and effort in trying to explain to them how they are so backwards on everything. And there's actually women who believe that they are for women's rights. And there are women who actually believe this garbage. That's where, I'm lost. I'm lost with the women who actually believe the crap that they're being fed.
Well, I mean, I don't know what they mean by rights. I mean, as if I had time, interest, and energy, I would go up to these women and say, okay, tell me what rights men have in the country you live in that women don't have. Tell me, please, what rights are you fighting for? Tax-free tampons. Seriously? Is this where we are? Tax-free tampons.
Yes.
Oh, it's can I be hugely offensive? Yeah, I think so.
Of course.
Do you know a singer named Sarah McLachlan?
Of course, yes.
She's kind of one of the central quasi-Celtic goddesses at the center of this. I don't know what her politics are, other than she was centerpiece at Lollapalooza. I actually saw her open for Sting, and she is the happiest, most depressing, mournful person that I know or have ever seen sing live. So I was listening to, and I like some of her songs, and she's got this kind of ethereal, comes with vocal granola kind of folksy half falsetto singing style. It's not bad, although I know she's complained a lot about the uncertainties of her voice. And she's written, I think one of my favorite songs of hers is called, it's I think one of her big hits. It's called Angel. I don't know if you've ever heard it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I won't sing it. Don't panic. But I won't. I'm not gonna. But oh. Okay, that's it. I'm turning on you now. No, but okay. So here's some lyrics, and it's interesting lyrics, right? So tired of the straight line, and everywhere you turn, there's vultures and thieves at your back, and the storm keeps on twisting. You keep on building the lies that you make up for all that you lack. It don't make no difference. Okay, it's a double negative. It's okay. She's granola. It don't make no difference escaping one last time. It's easier to believe in this sweet madness. Oh, this glorious sadness that brings me to my knees. And here's where I'm going to be highly offensive. Are you ready?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know, Sarah. How about just having a family?
Right. No, you're right.
How about just find a man? I know, and listen, I think she married her drummer. But they broke up, and I mean, I don't know much about other than I remember being shocked by how much she cussed. But anyway, it's like, oh, this glorious madness and sadness that brings me to my knees, and I'm pulled from the wreckage of my silent reverie. I'm in the arms of the angel. I hope I'm going to find some comfort in this dark, cold hotel room. Just get knocked up, make someone a sandwich, and make the world better by a couple of beautiful human beings. It doesn't mean she can't be a singer or a songwriter, but there's this drama that women seem to be drawn to in the absence of doing things like having children. Now, it's not just women. I think men get pulled into a lot of nonsense too. But, and I say this as, I spent a long time as a bachelor. I spent a lot of time. I've been married now for a decade and a half, been a father for 8. Once you become a dad, drama just kind of, whoo. I don't have a time for a lot of wreckage of silent reveries. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't have a lot of time for waiting for the second chance for a break that would make it okay, because it's hard at the end of the day. I need some distraction. Oh, beautiful release. I don't have any time for memories seeping from my veins. I can't be empty and weightless and maybe to find some peace tonight. I can't do it because I'm busy. Because I got a kid who wants to pretend to be a baby dragon.
No,
and then I got to take her to the dentist. And then I got to pay some bills. You know what I mean? And then I got to do a show. And then I got to call my... I got to do some taxes. And then I got to put up a towel rack. And then I got to shovel the driveway.
Right. I mean,
I don't have any time to pull myself from my wreckage of my silent reverie. Or march.
You're right.
And hold up signs. I don't have time to knit a vagina hat. Damn it.
There's always time to knit a vagina hat.
You don't have any kids, do you?
No.
See, here's the thing. I mean, I don't have time to dress up as a giant vagina, dye my beard blue, and go around lecturing people on human dignity. I don't have time, because when you really get busy with life, drama tends to fall away.
Right. And
drama tends to fall away.
Right.
There's a horrifying, terrible, god-awful nightmare of a play called Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? George and Martha. It's Albee, right? Edward Albee. He I guess George and Martha, like George and Martha Washington. This is America. And they don't have any kids, and they play all these nightmarish psychological games with each other. Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor were in the movie, and I think they were married twice and had all this ridiculous drama and all. No kids! When there are kids, it's a comedy. When there are no kids, it's some brain-twisting drama.
Right.
Right? How does Stanley Kowalski cure his household of the nightmarish sociopathy of Blanche Dubois? He knocks up his wife. Boom! Babies! Babies kill drama. Oh, look, Mike, we have a show time.
Right.
But babies kill drama.
Right.
And I know that there were some poor children in this march.
Right.
But not a lot. You got time. You got time to think about all of these giant penis clubs pummeling you like a baby seal in your imaginary ice. You have time to imagine all of this drama and all of this patriarchy, like men that just wake up and say, how can I oppress women today?
Right.
All I want to do is oppress women. And you don't have any time to actually deal with any real evil in the world or create any real good. I'm not saying, please understand, I'm not saying the only way. I'm going to put a few caveats in. People will take it out of context anyway, but just for my own conscience, right? I'm not saying that women have to have kids. I'm not saying that they can't do wonderful things in the world without having children. Of course they can. Of course they can. Ayn Rand, one of my biggest philosophical influences, was without wee ones. But the majority of women seem to want to have kids. The majority of men seem to want to have kids. And they don't. They don't. Now, I know they seem to be very keen on abortions. And that's pretty obvious why. Because if you don't have the right to have an abortion, then your incentive to get married goes up. And if your incentive to get married goes up, then you're going to want smaller government. If you're not married, you want bigger government. So offering women the opportunity to kill their own babies in their wombs allows them to free themselves from the slavery of having somebody else get up at dawn and work 12 hours a day to provide you with a house and healthcare and food and heating and all that. Ooh, terrible, terrible slavery. But no, I mean, if they were really interested in female rights, in the liberation and emancipation of women, then what they would do is they'd take out a map of the world, let's say, right? And they'd start looking up countries, and they'd say, okay, women being oppressed, where's that going on? Okay, our country, no, not really. Okay, Yemen, okay, Somalia, Saudi Arabia. Ooh, the Congo. Ooh, South Africa, where 1 in every 2 women will be raped in her lifetime. Ooh, how about the migrant crisis? Let's check out rape statistics in Sweden. Or the recent god-awful 3-hour Facebook streaming of a rape of a white Swedish woman by Middle Eastern migrants. Not allowed to talk about the ethnic composition of the rapists, you see, because you're only allowed to talk about race when you're denigrating white males. But so you would do that, right? You just start. Anybody who doesn't start from a blank page is just full of shit, frankly. Right. Let's pretend we have let's pretend we're space aliens, no preconceptions of anything at all. And let's see where we should apply our greatest energies. I don't think that tax-free tampons would be in the top 10 billion of that crap. Now, as to why these women are so able to be propagandized, well, they love the drama, the excitement. I'm in a fight for liberty and justice and right? I'm a superhero. I don't need no cape, just a labia hat will do. I can't believe the things I have to say on this show, but yeah. So they like the drama. And the drama is what you get when you don't want to have kids. You got to do something that makes your life exciting. When you have kids, your life is exciting and wonderful and beautiful, in my experience. But if you don't have kids, then so that's one. The other thing too is, as I talked about in a recent video I did on the Women's March, the women, not that attractive, so why not marry the state, since the state is going to give you money? The state is, for certain, men are inconstant. With the state, you get money if you're a worse person. With men, you actually have to be a better person. And why would you want to go through all the effort of being a better person when you could just get the money and be a horrible human being?
Right.
I mean, what?
Right.
Why not? And women's brains and men's brains, shockingly, are quite different. I wasn't so sure of this before, and I even had Janice Heimlich was on the show years ago. But the research seems to have been just a little updated since then, and one of the things they're finding is that women's brains have a much more difficult time dealing with negative emotional stimuli. When women experience negative emotional stimuli, they react, emotionally. Right?
Right.
Whereas when men see or experience negative emotional stimuli, they react intellectually, right? They react abstractly. The prefrontal cortex kicks in and analyzes the situation, right? And we can see this, right? So women say, oh, well, you know, and when the statement is made about deporting illegals, well, they've got legal babies because of the anchor bullshit, right? Anchor baby bullshit in the States.
Right.
So you're going to be splitting up families, right? And women are like, oh, splitting up families, that's terrible. We can't have that. It's just an emotional reaction. Men say, well, no, we're not splitting up families. The people who are here illegally are the ones splitting up the families. In the same way that if you go and rob a bank and you go to jail and you have a kid, it's not the police who are splitting up your family. It's you because you went, you know what I mean, right? You went and robbed a bank, right?
Right.
You can see this with the picture of the drowned kid. In Greece or Turkey or wherever it was, right? The kid in the surf, right? We can't have that. And the men are like, okay, well, maybe we should really stop this migrant thing then, because they're there because they're all being let in. No, we got to let them in. That's the only way to, you know what I mean? So women react more emotionally to negative stimuli and experience it more directly, whereas men kick into analysis mode, right? I mean, you may have seen this with the men in your life when there's a crisis or there's an emergency. You know, if a mouse runs along the kitchen floor, the women jump up on the chairs and the men go get a broom.
Right. I mean, that's
It's
what
not
I would
good
do.
or bad. It's not a judgment of either good or bad. It's just the way that it works, and it's not 100%, but it's definitely a very significant trend. So, yeah, if you tell women there's this dark, sinister cabal of giant estrogen-crushing testicles roaming across the landscape, hopefully by twos, then that's a negative stimuli. And they react emotionally.
Right.
And when women react emotionally, they have two impulses. Number one, band together with other women. Number two, run to a man for protection. And this you can see all over the place in some of these more extreme feminists. They all band together. Female in-group preference. Women are wonderful. It's actually a psychological effect. There's massive bias towards women. Governments love women.
Right.
We've gone into before. And then they run to men for protection. They run to the government. Go get us some money for men, Mr. Policeman. And that is, those are two sort of female instincts that are perfectly wonderful from an evolutionary adaptive standpoint. It's exactly what you want women to do. Perfectly sensible, perfectly rational. And when it's not combined with the state, it's a wonderful thing. It's just that, when combined with the state, it has some problematic outcomes.
Right. That's the thing too. Like my fiance and I, we talk about things like this, and I get riled up. I get so bent out of shape over some of this stuff, and I know I'm reacting.
Yeah. Talk politics with me. Talk gender with me. Come on, baby.
You know what? I might try that. Anyway. So I get so agitated.
I have a very angry baby, but he's going to end up very happy. Sorry, go.
So I get so agitated, and he just sits there. He says, Jess, you have to think of it logically. They're not logical. You are logical. They're not logical. Drop it. I'm like, okay. And, you're right. When it comes to, the whole drama, thing. I mean, I've been thinking about that more recently. I saw your video on the Women's March, and, you're totally right. I mean, if I had the means right now, like if me and my fiance had the means, I would definitely stay home and, after we get married, have the kids and stay home and raise the kids. I have no problem with that.
See, why would you get married to a man and then say, okay, let's move to opposite ends of the country? You have people in your life to spend time with them, right? So you don't dump your kids in daycare and go off to some little cubicle to answer phone calls from angry customers. Ooh, that's great. Good job. Sorry, go ahead.
Exactly. No, you're right. And then, be constantly thinking about my kids all day. Like, are they okay? I might miss their first milestone. I might miss their first word, things
You've
like
heard
that.
about this webcams in daycares, right?
The what?
The webcams in daycares.
No. This is a thing now.
It's a thing, yeah. So if you drop your kids off at daycare, some daycares, they will give you a webcam view, a webcam portal, you see. And what you can do is you can see your children grow up at 5 frames a second.
Right.
Hey, ma, I, wo, do that, e. And what's great is every time syllable comes out, you jet a little bit more of your mommy milk in your bra. Oh, look, I have 2 tiny swimming pools of tragic distance from my children. Squish, squish, squish. Oh, man.
That's so bad.
And I just, here's the thing. Like, at what point do we say, this is fucking nuts? This is insane. What have we done? Where have we come as a society? I am 18 miles away from my children. I'm watching them at 4 frames a second on a webcam, and I'm lactating because of pixels on a screen.
Right. And there's nothing wrong. I mean, I said this to my coworker at one point because we got back into it. I mean, it's just constant with us. And I told her I wouldn't mind being a stay-at-home mom. I would love to raise my children. I would love to be there for my family. I would love to take care of the house, have a hot dinner on the table when, my fiance comes home from work. I would love to do that because, and this is going to sound very, very bad of me, but men and women do have their roles. They do have things that they can and can't do. Men can't have a baby, but I can have a baby. I can feed that baby. I can, I have that bond with that baby. There are certain things that we can and can't do physiologically, and that's perfectly 100% okay. There's nothing
Who's
wrong
better
with
with
being
less sleep,
different.
you or your fiance?
Me.
Right. Do you know why?
Because that's how I'm hardwired.
Because men are weak. Weak. If you ever want to take over the world, just shave 18 minutes off the man's sleep time. And it's like, I can't function. I'm too groggy. I can't walking into walls. This is the man, like if you shave 18 minutes off a man's sleep, this is what happens. He doesn't wake up. He sort of comes back to life like Jesus after a 3-day layover. He kind of stumbles his way down the stairs and he asks where everything is that's right there in front of him. You ever have this with your fiance? He like opens the fridge and he's like, where's the and you walk over and it's like, let me take your head. Let me put your eyes. I'm going to take a little piece of floss. I'm going to go from your eyes 6.5 inches to this damn thing that's right in front of your face, right?
Every single morning.
Every single morning.
fail.
It's because he's had 18 minutes too little sleep. And that is incredible. When my child was born, how much sleep my wife could get by without is staggering to me. Staggering. And here's the thing. Do you ever notice that your fiance gets a little bit testy when he's sleep deprived?
Oh, yeah.
Right. And how about you? When you don't have enough sleep, how are you doing?
I mean, I'm generally pretty okay.
Right. Here's the thing. This is why women should stay home with the babies. Partly it's the breastfeeding and it's the bond and I think a lot of instinctual stuff. But you all are like superhero giant machines of transforming wonder functioning on so little sleep. I don't get enough sleep. Not only do I not have a great day, but if I'm not careful, no one around me has a great day, right?
Right.
It's not, and like I feel like my brain has been replaced by some slightly damp cotton wool or like the kind of pre-washed egg salad horrifying sandwiches you get on British railways. I feel like it's like an old turnip or one of those hollowed out pumpkins. And yet my wife is like, after my baby, baby was up 4 times last night. I probably got a grand total of about 92 minutes sleep. Now, at this point, I'd be speaking in ancient Aramaic and attempting to walk through a wall. And my wife's like, want some coffee? I'm like, I feel so guilty. I feel so guilty. Tastes like licking a battery. But she can do it. Which is how we know Donald Trump is actually a woman. Anyway, that's a topic. Because he and Clinton and other people, they have this weird gene thing where they get by on like 3 hours sleep. Donald Trump's like, well, went to bed at 1, got up at 4. I'm like, hey, let's see what's going on in the day. Whereas you wake me up at 4 and I'm like, I can't. From 4 to like 8 is when I evolve from like a crustacean to a human being. Or more technically, emotionally, from a crab to a human being. Wake me up at 4, all I'm going to do is try and clip at you with my pincers and mate with your leg.
Yeah, that's about
at 8.
That's about
yes,
mine,
I can get up and be civilized. So this is, and babies like are sleep thieves. Like they're sleep vampires. Like they just have a sixth sense. I think they believe that the milk in the boob goes bad if she sleeps too long. Wake up before the milk goes bad. I can't taste it. I don't want any 2-week-old buttermilk coming out of those nipples. I need fresh stuff. which means you better be awake and alert. Ah.
That's
So,
probably
yeah,
exactly it.
So that's another reason why the sleep deprivation thing. I'm convinced, like they had to invent waterboarding because sleep deprivation did nothing to female terrorists. Still a lot easier than having a baby. Do your worst. First for man is like, oh no, I got 18 minutes too little sleep. I'll tell you anything you need to know.
Yeah, that would be Ed.
Why are you guys not having get married and having a baby? You said something about money.
Well, yeah, we're definitely waiting on that. Yeah, he's
Wait,
about
do you
to get.
guys live in the country?
No, we live in the suburbs.
That's kind of weird. Do any of your neighbors have chickens?
No.
How strange. I can totally hear this sound in the background when you talk about how difficult it is for you to have babies. Do you hear that? Do you hear it too?
Yeah, actually, now that you mention it.
Cock-a-doodle-doo! Have babies.
No, it's just the financial aspect of it right now.
Yeah, there's cheaper places to live than the suburbs. I'm sure you're aware of this in one form or not, one way or another.
Oh yeah, once we get a little bit more money in the bank, we're moving out to the country.
And how long do you think that'll be?
Maybe a year or two.
Hmm.
And then start popping those suckers out.
Still in your 20s, right?
Yeah.
Good. Plan, right?
Huh?
Give yourself a date to get pregnant and work towards that. In my humble opinion, don't wait for life to kind of put you in that position. Well, that's probably not the right way of putting it, but you know what I mean.
Right.
Give yourself, okay, by next summer, we're starting to try. And that way you'll just organize your life accordingly and you'll do what needs to be done. If you don't have an endpoint or a goal, there's a lot of drifting in life, right?
Right.
That's just my particular suggestion. Have them while you're young. I've said this a million times. I'll say it again. Have them while you're young. You've got the energy. You don't care about the money as much. Your kids won't care about the money at all. You'll bounce back from little sleep much better. And then when your kids get older, you've got the whole rest of your life to do all of the other cool stuff that you want to do. But that's just my particular suggestion. Don't let, people had kids during the Great Depression. People had kids during the Black Plague. People had kids, you'll find a way. You'll find a way to make it work.
Right. Right.
Breed! 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 Breed!
See, and that's the thing, too. I mean, a lot of, again, mostly coworkers, that's usually who I associate with right now. When I tell them I don't mind being a stay-at-home mom, they look at me like I'm an alien. And, of course, they're all feminists. It's a rich area that I work in. I don't work, it's a very rich area. So, I mean, all these people, of course, are leftists. And, I'm telling them my points of view, trying to open up some minds. And I have successfully with a couple people, but for the most part, they look at me like I'm an alien. And all I can think is, you're going to miss out. You're already 35, just broke up with your boyfriend of 10 years. And you have no idea what you're doing with your life at this point.
Well, we have a pretty good idea what they're not doing.
Right.
Which is having the kind of kids to pay for all of the giant fucking socialist programs that they all want.
Exactly.
You have children so that I can own them. So that they can be my slave chattel drivers to send me money through the state. You have the children that I can feast upon. I could do that for a while, but I've decided not to because I got to save my voice for a long show. Here in the arm. No, okay, I'm just kidding. I won't go there. I won't go there. I considered it, but no. Was it useful or was it me just entertaining myself with nonsense?
It was kind of both, but yeah, no, it was.
Well, that's win-win then for everyone. So
yeah, absolutely. Very entertaining, but yeah, definitely helped a lot. Gave me a new insight, and I really, really appreciate you talking to me because I definitely needed a refresher on, how to at least somewhat approach these people.
It's weird. It's weird where you live in a society where you have to apologize for doing what's best for your children. It's weird that we live in a society where you kind of have to apologize for loving your children. It's kind of weird that we live in a society where you have to apologize for making sacrifices for your children. Isn't that weird?
Right. It's
Well, I do want to stay home and love and care and nurture for my children. Oh my. How plebeian, how pedestrian, how philistinical. I mean, it's weird. Like how you have to apologize for the greatest glories in your life.
right. And for doing what's right for your kids. What's right
Yeah.
for the future generation.
Yeah.
It's
It's
unfortunate.
I mean, feminism, not only is it hostile and irrational, but it's an extraordinarily selfish. It's an
Absolutely.
extraordinarily selfish approach to life.
Absolutely. It's always, always, always me, 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 me. Every time I talk to these people. And that
Yeah.
drives me nuts more than anything. Like, think of somebody other than yourself for just a minute, and you'll understand what I'm saying.
There is, I mean, when you're young, you have this belief that if you don't share your candy, you'll be happier. And when you get older, you understand that if you share your candy, you're going to be happier. The taste of the candy in the short run does not match the joys of the united relationships in the long run. And just letting go of that I, me, I stuff, it's tough for a lot of people. Very tough.
Right.
But that's where a lot of the beauty in life is. All right. I feel I'm running out of useful things to say, which is usually time to move on to the next caller. Thanks for the call. You're welcome back anytime. And I really appreciate the work that you're doing
All right.
to
Thank
get
you
people,
so much.
to get people out there to try and wake up to some of this stuff, because they can keep you in a fog of now until your ovaries dry up and blow away. And then you thought it would be a family, and all you did was make a desert. So you're really helping a lot of people, and I hope that you'll keep doing it.
Thanks. I appreciate you talking with me.
All right, take care.
You too.